Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you how I make this buttery flaky pie dough and apple pie filling that combined is sure to give the OG McDonald's apple pies a run for their money. So if you're an apple pie lover like me, then please stay tuned for the recipe to see how I make these apple hand pies. To start off making the pie dough, I'm going to whisk together my dry ingredients, then add in the butter. So I'm basically just massaging the butter into the flour. And I'm doing this very quickly because I don't want the butter to melt into the flour. I just want to break it up into the flour until I get a crumbly texture. And it should look something like this before you move on to adding your water. Next, add the water and press together until the mixture starts to clump together. Once most of the mixture starts to clump together and form a rough dough, go ahead and flour your countertop and start folding the dough over several times. And doing these folds is what's going to help create those flaky layers in the pie dough. And your dough should look something like this before it goes into the fridge. You're not really looking for a super smooth surface. You just want to make sure that everything is holding together. Now you can wrap it in some plastic wrap and then press it thin so it chills evenly in the fridge, and so it'll be easier to roll out once you pull it out of the fridge. And you want to let this chill for at least 2 hours before you use it. Moving on to the filling, I'm just peeling some apples and dicing them up into about 1-inch cubes. And you want to try your best to make sure that you cut your apples into similar sizes so they cook evenly. I'm using Pink Lady apples, but you can use Granny Smith as another option. The only thing with Granny Smith, they are a little more tart, so you might need to adjust the amount of sugar that you add to the apples. After adding the sugars and spices to my apples, I'm going to take this over to the stove and cook this for about 15 minutes on medium-low heat. You want to be sure to stir this frequently because you want to make sure that everything's cooking at an even rate. And I'm cooking these just until I can get a toothpick or a plastic fork easily through the apple, but it still holds its shape. I don't want it to be too mushy because they're still going to cook a little bit more in the oven. Once they've reached the desired tenderness, I'm going to add my cornstarch slurry, and this is just going to thicken up those juices so they're not running all over the place when I'm trying to fill the pie dough. And this is what the filling should look like. It still has all of those juices, but everything is still holding together. Now we can't fill the pie dough with this hot mixture, so we have to let it cool down. So I'm just transferring this into a bowl And I'm going to let that cool off in the fridge until the mixture is completely cooled. Now that the pie dough is chilled, I'm going to flour my work surface, and I'm going to roll this out as thin as I can get it without it tearing or sticking to the counter. And don't be alarmed if you have issues with the edges cracking. That will happen, but the dough is very forgiving and you can just pinch the edges together and roll them out. Once I've rolled the dough as thin as I can get it, I'm taking a large circle cutter and I'm just cutting out as many circles as I can. From this first roll, I got 11 circles from this. I could have gotten 12, but I didn't have enough space for the last one. And I could have re-rolled the scraps, but it was really hot in my kitchen, so I decided not to. But I think from this dough, you'll be able to get about 15 circles. To build our hand pies, I'm taking one circle and I'm going to flatten it out a little bit more just so I can get a wider surface for the filling. To the center, I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of filling. Then I'm going to use the egg wash as a glue around the edges. And this is just going to help the dough to stick to itself. And I'm going to fold it over and press down, creating a border in between the filling and the edge of the pastry. And I'm going to press it together because I want to make sure that nothing leaks out while it bakes. Then I'm going around those edges with a fork and I'm just pressing down with a little bit of flour to make sure it doesn't stick. And I don't think this is a necessary step, but it's just something I like to do to reinforce the seal and add a little bit of a decoration to the pie. And I'll just repeat those steps on the remaining dough cutouts I have and place them on a baking sheet. Once all our hand pies are formed, I'm going to take that same egg wash I used as glue and I'm going to brush this all over the pies. And this is just going to help with browning and also for the cinnamon sugar to stick. Next, I'm going to cut a few slits in the top for ventilation and then sprinkle them with a generous amount of cinnamon sugar before they go into the oven. There is an option to fry these if you prefer to do that. Just make sure you don't egg wash them and no cinnamon sugar before you fry them. And then once they come out of the fryer, you can sprinkle them with the cinnamon sugar mixture. Lastly, pop these into the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes at 400 degrees. And this is what they should look like when they're done. I make these pies for my family quite often and they never last long. So just be warned, if you make these, they will go very, very fast. Don't forget to give this video a like. Please make sure you share this recipe with another apple pie lover that you may know. And let me know in the comments if you're gonna make this recipe. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.